All right, so compositions are where we're putting all of these things together. So we're just going to kind of review a little bit to make sure we know the rules. So when we reflect over the x-axis, we're going to take our original ordered pair and we're going to change it. Remember, x-axis, the x stays the same. The y is opposite. If we're going over the y-axis, the x changes, but the y stays the same. If you're going over the parent function, y equals x, you're going to change so that your x and y flip. And if you're going over the opposite of the parent function, y equals negative x, you're going to do the same thing, but take the opposite of each. So those are our reflection rules. The rotation rules, we take x, y, and if we're going to rotate it 90 degrees, we're going to take the opposite of y and our x. If you're going to rotate 180 degrees, and remember, these are the ones you need to have memorized. All these 6, they will not be given to you on the test, so you have to memorize them. Or just know how to do it with your eyes. Okay, there's the rule for 180. Now, what a composition is it's just 2 or more transformations combined. So now if we look at example 1, it says the vertices of triangle ABC are those given. Find the image of triangle ABC after the glide reflection. And this is just really another name for composition, so don't let that scare you. A glide reflection is a translation, because think about a translation as moving left to right, so you're kind of gliding it, and then you're reflecting it. So it's just kind of a special name for this type of composition. All right, so the question then is, what are the x-coordinates of B double prime? So like I said, I like to do this in a list. Remember our reflection rule for the x-axis, like we just said above. X-axis, x stays the same, y is opposite. So we're going to list out all of our points. So A is at 2, 1, B 5, 3, and C 6, 2. Now we're going to perform each of these translations in the order that it tells us to. All right, so A prime. So the first one I'm going to do is the translate. So I'm going to subtract 8 from 2 and get negative 6. My y is going to stay the same. Subtract 8 from 5 and the y stays the same. C prime, subtract 8, and that stays the same. So there's your translation. Now we have to find what A double prime, B double prime, C, so forth, so on. So the reflection rule is x stays the same, the y becomes opposite. X stays the same, the y is opposite. Now you're going to graph the final image. So A is at negative 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, negative 1. A double prime. B, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. B double prime. And C is at negative 2, negative 2. So there is your final image after the composition. Just putting 2 of them together. Basically a review. All right, example 2, it gives you the endpoints CD. It wants us to graph the image of C double prime after the composition. So, we're reflecting in the y-axis. So we're always just going to kind of make sure that rule. So the y-axis is your x is opposite, the y stays the same. If we're rotating 90 degrees about the origin, so you're going to take the opposite of y and keep the x the same. And it wants to know what are the final coordinates. So again, I'm going to list these out. C is at negative 2, 6. And D is at negative 1, 3. Let's do the first transformation. We're flipping over the y-axis, so you take the opposite of the x, the y stays the same. The opposite of the x, the y stays the same. So that was the reflection. Now we're going to rotate about the origin. So that means we take the opposite of y, keep the x there, d double prime, the opposite of y, keep the x. So -6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2 is c double prime, -1, 2, 3, 1, there's d double prime. So there's the answers there, -6, 2, and -3, 1. All right, these are just describe the transformation. So there's a couple of them going on, and it's just review. What you have to pay attention to here is where did it start and where did it end up. So you really have to focus on your primes. And you want to start with the figure that doesn't have any prime little tick marks. So in this case, we're going to start here, and then this is 1 prime, and then this is 2 prime. So to get from basically what I'm going to say 1, 2 to 3, to get from 1 to 2, they did a reflection over, what is it? What axis? Good, the x-axis. And then they just shifted it up and over. So then they just did a translation. And let's see what that translation is. They went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to the right. So that's +6 and up 1, 2. So that's how we would describe a transformation. Next one. So they started here. So this is 1, 2, and 3. So from 1 to 2, all it did was kind of turn, and you can see it went from quadrant 1 to quadrant 2. Each quadrant is 90 degrees, because remember there's 360 total. So it turned from one quadrant to the other, so that was a 90-degree rotation. And then what it did is you see it's the same distance away from this axis here. So we have a reflection over x-axis. All right, here we go. Perform the transformation here. I want you to do this one yourself. So I would like to see all of the points listed out here. So I can see what the A, B, C, A prime, B prime, C prime, A double prime, B double prime, C double prime. All right, so you're going to do the next two on your own, and I will be checking for them, all right, tomorrow.